go from here and go to the people. That's what he did. Laid down his life. Laid down his glory to lay down, to have a human life to lay down. So what he asks of us is what he has shown us by example. And it is his very heart. And in sending us, it should become our primary focus in life, because it was his sole purpose for coming. Rescuing those who are lost. Now, you know that I'm not particularly crazy about the terminology lost, because it offends people that are lost. But it's truth. They are wandering through life without an understanding of who the real guide is. And they can set all kinds of goals, but ultimately their destination has been preset. And they're wandering. And without direction, they're wandering aimlessly. Rescuing those who are lost. Have you thought of yourself as a rescue worker? You notice I didn't say, have you thought of yourself as the rescuer? Because you're not. I'm not. Jesus is the rescuer. We are the workers. We each have our little bucket, throwing the water out of the boat. We each have our part. But he does the rescuing. Takes the heat off a little bit. We just have to keep doing our part. But it's a rub, because it's not easy to do. Rescuing those who are lost, first of all, involves risk. Look at verse 4 that was read for us this morning. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Does he not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? This verse, I don't know how many times I've heard that verse misused to say that if somebody's upset with the church, then the church ought to do everything to accommodate their upsetness. That's talking about people that, Jesus is talking about people who are lost, not people who know the truth and are stiff-necked. This is about evangelism. Jesus had lost people, so what did he do? He came down here and did something about it. Lost sheep. Does he not leave the 99 in the open country? What happens to the 99 while he's out looking for the one? They're out there. Who's guarding them? Who's watching over them? Who's taking care of them? When we feel like that everything is about us, who's going to do this or who's going to do that, or how's this going to get done? We need to remind ourselves about the ones out there that don't have anybody to show them the truth. What do the sheep think out there in the field when there's 99 of them all in the bunch and all the wolves are out around and everything? And where's the shepherd? Where's their protector? Was there a risk taken here? He's risking losing the rest of the flock, isn't he? To go after the one. It involves risk in our life. If we're going to do what needs to be done to get into the lives of people who need Jesus, to relate to them, or at least let them know that God relates to them, and help them to feel like they can relate to us. It sometimes takes doing things that will not be popular with all of us. It sometimes will take making decisions that will be controversial. It will take sometimes striking out on your own. What did the shepherd do? He left and struck out on his own. Every one of us is going to have to strike out on our own. Reaching the lost is not just about putting on a great program, a great ministry, and expecting people to come to us for it. You know that only works in a limited fashion. Look around this morning. Every one of us that was hoping to see somebody else here that's not part of our church is disappointed that this wasn't the Sunday. And there were several that I can think of that this could have been the Sunday. But it's not. We need to take heart that it's worth the risk, even when we don't see results. Possibly losing what we have for what someone else has not. Secondly, it's not easy rescuing those who are lost because it requires effort. Let's look at verse 4 and verse 8 with a different emphasis on that text of that. Suppose one of you has the 100 sheep, lose them. Does he not leave the 99 in the open country and do what? Go after the lost sheep until he finds it. And in the verse dealing with the coin, suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Does she not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? 3 things. If we didn't have enough effort with the guy running out looking for the sheep, Jesus says, you know, it's worth really focusing your whole effort on. Light the lamp, sweep the house, search carefully. Why? Because lost things don't find themselves. We have to go, not just shout for them to come. Thirdly, rescuing those who are lost demands perseverance. And the phrase in verse 4 and verse 8 that we just read, I've highlighted on each one of those. I won't read the verses again, just the closing phrase, until he finds it. And until she finds it. When do they quit looking? When do they quit trying? When they succeed, and not until. I think it was Rocky one time mentioned that he had been looking all day for something, and when he finally found it, it was the last place he looked. That's where we find anything we're looking for. Why would you keep looking after you find it? But that's how long we're supposed to keep going after those who don't know Jesus. Until they're found. Until they're found. No giving up. You know, the Reuben Donnelly Company in Chicago is a publishing company that handles subscriptions for magazines. I'd never heard the name of this until I'd looked some stuff up on this weekend, or this week. And they're based out of Chicago, and like all these kinds of outfits, they've got computers that do a lot of the stuff automatically, and they've got machines that kick out mailings automatically. And they had something go wrong in one of their units, and it kicked out where is it here, the number I wrote? 9,734 expiration notices to National Geographic to one rancher in Powder Bluff, Colorado. Okay, did you catch that? One guy received 9,734 expiration notices for his subscription to National Geographic, at which point he wrote out a check and said, I give up, renew my subscription. That might be what it takes for some people to come to know Jesus. It may take 9,734 touches, and it may take 1,000,000, but we got to keep going. The shepherd that went out after his sheep had rocky and narrow paths and steep cliffs and probably everything else to deal with, knowing the terrain of where Jesus was.